TheraSisters. Oh, hello. Oh, there it is.
Oh, there
Sorry,
it is.
sometimes it tricks us. Welcome to TheraSistersStL. I'm Catherine Barton.
Amy Camp Ryan.
Yay!
Here we are.
We are so excited
Yes.
today because Ally is here. Ally Nikolaus, right?
Nicholas.
Nicholas.
Just like the guy's name.
Got it.
Nicholas.
Awesome. And we are so excited to learn more about her and everything. And Amy, what do you have going on right now, recently?
No, there isn't much going on. I am currently on the search of a new family member, a new four-legged family member. And I tell you, I'm getting all kinds of dopamine hits looking at these. Oh my God, I want them all.
They're so cute.
They're so cute. So hopefully soon we'll have a new little
Yeah.
fur baby.
You will find your forever fur baby soon.
I can't wait.
They're out there.
They are.
Yeah, that is fun.
Yes. And you?
Nothing as fun as that.
That's true. There isn't.
I don't know. Just trying to get back in the swing of things and get back into a groove with work and life and family balance.
Yes.
So,
That's
we ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
Let's bring in Ally.
Come
Come on
join
in,
us.
Ally.
Hello.
Hello. So excited to get to talk with you.
Likewise. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Yes. So we've never met Ally in person.
First time.
And this is like a first real conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I was reading over your bio and so many things.
So many
And you are
things.
very cool. Creative spirit, I would say.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
go ahead.
so you're originally from St. Louis.
Yep, born and raised.
Yeah. Went to Webster University
Did.
for speech communications.
Mhm.
Is that
It's mostly public speaking.
public speaking?
Yeah, I did a
Very
lot of
cool.
presentations and a lot of PowerPoints.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
impressive.
And you're also an impressive soccer player.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Yay.
Yes, you got into their Hall of Fame, Webster's.
Yeah, I was inducted in February of this year.
Congratulations.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
It's very fun.
Yeah, I don't know much about soccer. Explain your position you played.
I played center mid,
Okay.
middle of the field,
Okay, gotcha.
ran back and forth a lot,
Okay.
up and down, all around.
Very
So
cool.
did you watch a lot of the Olympics?
Watched every game.
Yeah.
Most of the games. I didn't watch everyone, I'll take that back. But I did watch most of them. That worked with my schedule. But yeah, I'm super pumped that we won the gold medal.
Yeah.
It's been a while. Glad to be back on top. Made us cried a few times. But
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
very
an emotional thing.
It
Yeah.
is.
Right.
Well, I'm sure you're loving that St. Louis now has like a big soccer
it's very,
presence.
very fun.
Very cool.
Yeah, I've been to a few games.
Yeah.
It's just the whole environment, and like St. Louis has always been like such a huge soccer town.
That's true. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the games are super fun, and like even if you're not a soccer fan or a sports fan, like I could see somebody being entertained and
Yes.
having a good time.
Yes. We went to a couple games last year. And yeah, I had a lot of fun. I'm like, oh my gosh, I had no idea how much fun soccer could be.
Yeah, there's a lot of good energy.
Yes.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you're here to help promote a book that you have written.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And tell us the name of the book.
I'm Gay and Drink Water.
Name.
I like
Thank
that.
you. It was kind of an accident. Like I went back and forth with several different names. I started this book 8 years ago.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
it's gone through a few title changes, but it came about on an Instagram sticker on the story
Okay.
about explaining your book's plot poorly.
Oh, how
And
funny.
that's what I posted. I got a lot of good reactions from it. So I was like,
There it is.
here we are.
Oh my gosh, that's good.
Yeah. So yeah, it's out. It's gonna be out by the time this is.
By the time
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
out, yeah.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I thought it was gonna be like a bucket of tears when I started getting copies in and people started doing the pre-orders and buying my book. I thought it would be like, oh my God, but I'm just like super pumped and ready for people to read it.
Very cool.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm curious. I want to hear a little bit more about the book, but I'm also curious about the process of writing a book and then getting it out there. Because I work with a couple people who write and want to be published. And I know it seems like a process, but I'm curious about your process in this. Like, how
It
did you do
is-
that?
oh my gosh. How much time do we have?
Right.
Okay, so I'll start with like what the book is about.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I It's called I'm Gay and Drink Water. I already said that. It's basically the long version of my coming out story.
Okay.
When I was in college, I used soccer and alcohol to hide behind my sexuality. And the book covers everything from when I was a freshman on the University of Mississippi soccer team, dating my first girlfriend down there. It was not a public relationship. Then I ultimately moved back to St. Louis, transferred to Webster, and I go deep into that relationship with my first girlfriend all the way up until I came out shortly after my 24th birthday.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Can I ask how long ago that was? Is that permitted?
How long ago? When I graduated? How old
When
I
you
am, or is that
came
like-
out? Yeah, so and some of people do.
Well, we don't know how old you are, I guess, so.
Yeah.
So I came out when I was 24,
Okay.
a little over 8 years ago.
Okay. Oh, so you were you starting to write at that point too?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
and like when I was going through, I've always struggled with anxiety and depression, and very much so when I was an undergrad. And, every time I was, going through it, I was just like, I'm going to write about this someday. Just like, that was my main mantra, to like keep going and just keep going.
Yeah.
And I had always thought and knew that I would write it in a book someday. So yeah, shortly after, so I came out 2 months after my 21st birthday, and then I started writing the book like the next year or so, like shortly after that.
So then did you use writing throughout your lifetime or struggles to kind of journal? And is some of this
I've always been an avid journalist. Journaler. I've never said that out loud. That's what's today.
But I think
It sounded right.
It doesn't sound that wrong.
But when you think of what I think of journalist, it's funny you said, I'm like, well, that doesn't fit journalist, right?
Yeah,
Because you think
I
of
saw that.
newspaper. Journaler,
Yeah.
I think is more for
Yeah.
us.
Yeah,
Feeling
I'm gonna look
journals.
that up later.
Yeah.
But yeah, ever since I was a kid, I would always write, little snippets about my day. But I've always gone through phases. Like I haven't been journaling much lately, mostly just due to how busy things are.
Sure.
But yeah, I've always kept a journal in some capacity.
Okay.
So would you say that that's a big piece of your own healing and your own processing?
For sure. And like one of the main reasons this book took me so long to get out is because there's so much that I hadn't processed and like, my own therapy and just like healed like before I could, add more to the book where I wanted to get it.
Yeah, a little more vulnerable, probably.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You were talking about how you would tell yourself, you're going to put this in a book one day, or you're going to write about this. So it sounds to me that just empowered you to kind of keep going through those tough times.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like, so the first several drafts, like that was for me, like just like getting everything out on the page. And like the book, it's also like I'm literally a copy of my healing journey.
That's brave. I mean, that's really brave.
Thank you. And now that the book is, out in the world, it's, it's not for me anymore. It's like for anyone who needs it or wants to read it.
That was going to be my next question is, as you're going through that process and as it's also healing for you, is that part of it too, of thinking about how I'm also making this for others. I'm also making this to help empower others or help them.
Yeah, it mostly came from like anytime I was, in a spot, and my editor did a brilliant job of like getting the emotions out of me and put it on the page, and which I really needed because that's what the last draft was missing. But it wasn't necessarily like I wasn't thinking about my reader in those moments. I was just more so thinking like I need to be completely honest in these pages for whoever reads it.
Yeah.
So in that way, it wasn't like directly like, oh, I must write this down so someone can read it. There was like a little more to it than just that.
Yeah. It was more about really just focusing inward and getting to that raw emotion.
It's like I would be doing, somewhat of a disservice if I wasn't, 100% honest. And I don't, everything that happened during those 6 years of my life, I don't detail everything. I don't mention everything that happened, but the majority of it's in there and the most important stuff's in there. And it's very honest.
Well, I think the authenticity of that is so important, and that's what people want anyway, right? So it's not like I have to think about my audience or who I'm writing this for. It's more of, what do I need to share? Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, thank you.
And being true to yourself. So it's more about, telling your truth and knowing that your truth and your story is similar to many, and they can benefit just from your experiences.
Yeah.
Good. And so,
I guess the writing process.
Yes, always. Yes.
That was the second question. So, each draft was different. The first draft, I just came out of me like a waterfall. Like I was just getting all the words on the page, and I just wanted to get everything down because I was afraid I was going to forget something. So I was just like frantically typing anything that I could remember during that time. And then, the next draft I kind of added some more, and then third draft I try to like redo it where I was, talking using third person, and like this isn't working. And then the fourth draft I kind of wanted to do more reflections like back then versus now.
Okay.
But even that was 4 or 5 years ago when I was in those drafts, and I wasn't quite there to do the now part. So I scrapped that, and then I just went back to telling it linearly and using first person. But yeah, each draft was different. And then when I finally knew I was able to send it to an editor when I kept editing things that I had already edited.
Okay.
And I'm like, this is not productive. Like I would be like, oh, I want to say this here, and then I keep reading, then I would say it down there.
Okay.
So there
was some repetition.
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute, I already did this.
Yeah. And when I say, it took me nearly 8 years to finish it, I wasn't, writing on it, every month or like every year, actually.
Well, like you said, it's almost as if that part of your story wasn't
I had an
ending point.
Exactly.
But
I had some catching up to do with like processing certain things and, talking out in therapy and doing the inner work so I could reflect it on the page.
Yeah. Well, so a lot of what we talk about is the healing, the idea of healing. And so, like you said, like going through this process and working with a therapist through this, what feels, I guess, the most healing for you, or how do you heal personally?
Writing is a big one. And I think I've always, when I connect with a therapist, and I've honestly only had 2 very good therapists that I've, really connected with and felt true growth with. And, in those sessions, have felt that I'm able to, open up more one-on-one, just with me and my therapist. But when it came to addressing things like outside of therapy, like that's where I was really like struggling with for many years. But yeah, when I moved back to St. Louis, I've been back here 3 years, almost 3 years.
Okay.
I lived in Chicago for a while. And, I finally, the therapist I see now, like really helped me get to telling people, being a little more confrontational about my feelings. Not necessarily confrontational, but literally just like saying how I feel instead of like not saying like, oh, I don't care. Like I don't have an opinion. So that's huge.
Yeah, that's a big growth. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that was like also like a threshold I needed to pass before like my book was able to be completed. Writing therapy, yoga. I've been going to Pilates recently, and that's really been helpful.
I am so interested in Pilates. I know it's a lot of work, but to me, I'm like, you're just laying there and moving. It seems so.
It's not like that. It kicks my butt.
You mean like those roller Pilates? Yeah, right? Aren't you?
Yeah, I go to plank, which is it's intense than like regular Pilates.
Okay. I need soft Pilates.
Yeah. Don't go to plank if you're
okay. So you incorporate physical and mental and emotional into your healing process.
Absolutely. And I always have been like that. Like I said, with my soccer background and just like always just being an athlete in general, like moving my body and working out in some ways. And more so, recently, I've been reading a lot more, just like mostly just using that like as escapism, which also helps with my writing. But yeah, I've always been a reader, but I think more so now I'm just aware of like how much of an escape it is for me.
Okay.
Because now, I went to film school, so when I watch TV and film, like I'm analyzing it a little more than I used to.
Yeah.
So reading has certainly been, a way to to escape a little bit, but I also find healing in that sometimes too, depending on what stories I'm reading and how they like can parallel to my own life and connect. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I have other questions, but before I noticed that, well, I didn't notice, but as a therapist, we do use journal writing or writing your story with clients, and have often done it with people who've experienced trauma. And so, yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but just writing in itself, like you mentioned, is healing.
It just like is a different, because you're putting like a physical, whether you're typing or physically writing, like there's just something about it, like getting it out in a different way where you're just talking about it.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. And the, my thought here, and then it went that way. I don't know where it went.
It'll come back.
I didn't take my second dose of medication, so my brain is a little all over. Oh, it came back.
Okay.
So you mentioned was it your last draft where your editor really pulled out that emotional piece, and that too, because right when we write our stories, and we'll start off with like the basics, all the things that we don't want to forget, and it's pretty like just physical. We don't put the emotional piece in there. So yeah, it sounds to me just writing this book, the I'm Gay and Drink Water book, was a real healing process for you.
It was, and like in different ways too, and it also provided escape from other traumatic times too. So yeah, I mean, the book is it's been so many things the last 8 years that I've.
Well, I can't wait to read it.
I know. Me too.
Yes, and you can tell us how to find it at the end.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it sounds amazing.
So tell us even more about your journey, just in the sense of you lived in Chicago, and you have so many things
and
that are so interesting.
School,
I know,
and you've won awards. Like there's so much.
So much. Okay, so I went to DePaul University for screenwriting.
Okay. In
Chicago. Graduated in 2017. I love that program. Like I was.
Awesome.
And that too, like being in that program, like around the same time I started writing my book.
Okay.
They helped me find my voice a little more, like in stories and whatnot. And like most of the stories that I write are either like a direct reflection of something I've been through or very closely inspired by it. And the same with the Second City Theater in Chicago.
Were you part of Second City?
Not their main stage, not their traveling, but I have gone through most of their programs.
Oh, that's kind of very cool.
Yeah, and I've done a bunch of shows there and other theaters in Chicago as well. But yeah, and like Second City is very huge on drawing pieces of yourself to inspire different scene work and all that. So Chicago is definitely where I was freely just able to hone my creative voice and my personal voice. And that, I mean, I've written so many things there. And I think like once I was accepted into DePaul's program, I was finally able to really focus on writing. And then it was interesting, like transitioning from screenwriting and writing sketch comedy to writing a novel, writing a book, because it's much longer, different format, a lot more words. Yeah, but
Are you still doing like comedy work or short?
Only in my house.
Okay. Will you put shows on?
Every day. Yeah,
it's a safe space.
Yeah, I don't know. When COVID hit, things obviously changed a lot, and I mean, I do miss performing. I do miss being on a stage, and I've been thinking, more about filmmaking. Like, what is our next project going to be?
Is your fiance in the film?
No.
Okay.
When I said we, I meant my production.
Oh, okay.
He's my best friend who lives in Chicago. But yeah, we wrote a short film called 8,000, which is about endometriosis. Which I have. I was diagnosed with that.
Okay.
When I was 25 or 26.
That's a hard diagnosis to
get.
Yeah,
it sucks.
Painful.
Yeah, very much so.
It's one of those like silent
Yeah.
Or, you can't see it,
Exactly.
you don't know, you have no idea someone's going
feel
through
it.
this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, outside.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
no, and
It's an invisible illness. Yeah.
invisible, thank you, yeah. And it can be so.
Yeah. So we wrote, and like a big part of, my artwork during my 20s, especially, like I was just like, I want to just like turn my paint into like comedy, into like, a little more lighthearted things, but also like shedding light on very serious issues.
Yes. Yeah.
So we wrote a short film called 8,000, and we put it in a bunch of film festivals, and we took home an award.
That's awesome.
Yay.
Yeah, that was back in 2021, a few years ago.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I have to check that out too. Yeah, so many things.
I know.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, did you have a question? Well, what were we talking about? We were talking about Chicago and
Screenwriting.
and just you, acting out comedy sketches in your
Yeah,
house.
so I haven't done any show like since I moved back, because I moved back to St. Louis in the fall of 2021.
Okay.
And due to a breakup, and then my health like declined significantly. So I haven't really done much performing. If something comes along, like I'll think about it, but it's not my focus right now.
And so your focus right now is getting the book out? Any other focuses?
Now I'm getting married in October.
Oh, congratulations!
you.
That'll take some time.
Yeah.
So how's that going?
It's overwhelming.
Yeah.
But it's been fun. We're both just ready to be married and ready for the day to be here.
Yeah.
I got that going on. I'm super interested in law.
Okay. Yeah, you're
I
a
work in
legal
law.
assistant? Okay.
I would love to go to law school. I love school.
Can't get enough.
Can't get enough. When I know what I want and like I know what I love to study, I just like kind of go all in. But yeah, definitely, my memoir is, focused just getting that out. I will be at the Tower Grove Pride Festival in September. Yeah, we did just get a puppy. I wanted to say that right now. Yeah.
Tell me.
Her name is Stella. She's a German short-hair pointer.
Okay.
Yeah, we rescued her from the Humane Society.
Mm-hmm.
But she's sweet. She has like an on and off switch. There's no in between.
Okay.
She's either like, running laps around the yard or house, or she's like snuggling and taking naps.
Oh, yay. And she's a little one? Still
She's
a puppy?
she's 5.5 months.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
She's a little baby.
congratulations on that. And the upcoming wedding. I love weddings.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Just remember to be in the moment, right? And just stay there. And
Absolutely.
yeah. So, are you going back to school to become a lawyer?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah.
I know that's like one thing. I was like, yeah, I'm kind of interested in law, but no, I'm like kind of I'm still shy about it because I don't talk about it. But yeah, after the wedding, I took the LSAT in April, but I need to take it again, get a better score.
Okay.
So I'm going to pick up that again, like probably later this year or early next year.
So you utilize both sides of your brain.
Yeah.
This creative and this kind of logical.
Yeah, but it's interesting though because I have found like so many like parallels in legal work and also writing. Like the structure of it. When you build a case, you're also like kind of building a story.
True.
And just like all the details that can go into legal work too, just like the story. So I'm curious and eager and excited to see where the rest of my legal career takes me. Because like I when I was in grad school, I did my thesis script was centered around a court case about an assault that took place on a college campus, fictional, based on real events.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about that.
Oh, how they're kind of connected using both parts of the brain.
So when I was writing that script, I had, I'm like, I didn't know that much about law, so I'm like, reading all these books about law. I'm like, oh, this is really interesting. Mm-hmm. So then I was like, okay, well, what else is in here in this legal path? And like, I went back and forth for a long time, like how can I both be, this creative person, mm-hmm. a writer, and also be, an attorney someday? And then, not too long ago, I'm like, whatever, I got to do both because it's the only answer.
Right.
So yeah, that's how I got into, this interest in law. It's just has only grown since I wrote that script.
Yeah. So I'm curious, is, some individuals, when they go into law, it's because they have something that's happened to them, or they have this purpose of, I want to stand up for XYZ people, or focus on a particular thing. Is yours something in that direction, or are you more just like, law is an interesting thing, I'm curious about it?
I don't know.
Okay.
Every day find, something might come across my desk, like that's, an estate planning file, and I'm like, this is what I'm going to do. And then, the next day, I'll be like, knee deep in, like a lawsuit and, pulling exhibits and all this sorts of stuff. And I know this is cool.
So I haven't really found the niche yet.
I haven't, but there are also attorneys that I work with now that do a lot of different types of law.
Okay.
So I think that's, pretty cool and definitely doable.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't know where I'm going to land. It could be none of those. Maybe it's something I haven't been exposed to yet.
Right.
But I'm excited to find out.
Yeah.
I like the idea of the connection of the writing with law, like you said, of it's almost like putting a story out there. Because for the jury, whoever's going to be making that decision, you do want to be able to capture them, or you do want to be able to share that information in an interesting way that, gets them involved and really tells them the story.
And then from a writing standpoint, when you're drafting pleadings and, whatever contracts, it's just so, it's legal terminology, so it can be a little bit, dry and boring, but it is so beautiful, just the way it looks, and I just love how it looks on the page.
Yeah, that's
nice. There's just something very artistic about how simple, and I'm really just, promoting Microsoft Word and stuff else, but it is really lovely.
Are you talking about just physically looking at a page?
Looking at a page,
okay.
yeah.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah, and there's section breaks and section headers.
That's a new way of looking at law work. Yeah. I never would have thought about that, but that's neat. Yeah.
And so, with healing, maybe did we get off topic with the healing
Just
and your Pilates and yoga and writing, and you're continuing to do all of that and continue to heal through therapy? How would you define healing?
Whatever is a healthy way for you to cope and process whatever you need to cope and process.
Okay. Whatever you need to do to cope and process. So it's open.
As long as it is in a healthy manner that is not doing any harm to yourself or others.
I like that permission. Right, to give people.
And it's overwhelming too with that answer, because it takes a long time sometimes to find what works and what doesn't work.
Yes.
Yeah.
It sounds like you went through a process of finding what worked and what didn't work.
I did. My main issue that I still struggle with is I know what works for me and it hasn't changed too much. But then, I'm in a really good place, and then it's I don't need to go to Pilates today because I feel good already. It's maintaining it and just making sure you're consistent with what works for you. And I do it all the time. I'm currently doing it now.
So that's the biggest struggle, is maintaining the healthy pieces of healing on a daily basis.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure that speaks true to a lot of people. It's we know what we're supposed to do or what we need to do, and it is hard to kind of, like you said, I'm in a great mood right now, and so I don't need it, but then it's the next day, it's oh, I should have. Or if I would have gone, that would have been a good idea. So, no, that makes sense. Yeah. Well, and I like you said, the permission of it can be whatever it is for you. And that's a lot of what we talk about too, of just finding all these different people who heal in so many different ways and just sharing how they do it and how and so it's, opening that up and even just putting the options out there of oh, I've never heard of that. Maybe I could try that. Right.
And you never know. And even just because something doesn't work out doesn't, it can be a bummer, but it just is leading you to something that will.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. Still information.
And so, with you, that physical activity of some kind is really important. So, which is nice just to have that broad, knowledge. So if you get to a point where you're Pilates isn't doing it, I can go into boxing or,
No,
karate
you're
or
right.
something.
Yeah, and like what I love about Pilates, my best friend got me into it not too long, like 2 months ago. She was like asking me for a long time, like, just go, come with me. And I was like, okay, fine. But I love it because it's new. It's a new workout, and it's intense. And I don't have to, think about what I'm doing. I just listen to the instructor and look at whoever's, just copy the person next to me. But it's challenging, and what I've noticed is that it's really built up the endurance of my muscles.
Okay.
So like when I go lift at the gym for like my regular workouts, my muscles they last longer.
Oh.
And I'm like, that hasn't happened in a long time.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, but like trying something new, like I absolutely love going to Pilates. It just kicks my butt. I don't love it when I'm there sometimes, but
the afterward, you're like, yes. Do you still play soccer?
I have not, since I've been back. I did go to like a pickup game at this like random place last spring, but I haven't played. That's the first time I've played in a while. I would love to. My body just like doesn't agree with that sport as much as it used to. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to still play. I just don't as often as I'd like.
Yeah. Instead, you can watch people.
Yeah, I mean, I love watching that. Yeah. It's so fun.
Go USA.
Absolutely.
There's a really great bar on, what street is that?
Amsterdam bar?
Yeah, the Amsterdam bar. Yeah, I was gonna say that's like the main bar I know about to go for soccer, and it's super fun. But
and they probably have water there.
I believe it is.
Well, so do you like just plain water? Do you like sparkling water? Do you like all kinds of water? It's kind of a silly, but
no, I love regular water. I do like sparkling water. Love little flavored water. Yeah.
All kinds of water.
All kinds of water.
Tequila and water. No.
Not anymore.
Yeah, we are in St. Louis.
We are a bit of a drinking town.
A little bit. So is Chicago, though, too.
Oh, I bet. But they have to stay warm somehow up there. So bad in the winter. God.
But there is a shift, I think, from us older people, Gen Xers, and the younger generations. There is a shift in as far as drinking goes. It's
absolutely
not as
And even in the last like 10 years, there's been a lot of change and growth in like non-alcoholic beverages.
Yeah, mocktails.
Delicious.
Yeah, they are delicious. Yeah.
So that was also something that's part of your journey. You said using alcohol to cope and using journaling and there was something else. Soccer, maybe.
Soccer.
It was soccer.
Yeah.
And so I'm guessing now you don't drink anymore.
No, I quit drinking the week after my 24th birthday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's been almost 8.5 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, so that correlates with your coming out.
Yeah,
because that was hiding that.
Yeah, exactly.
And like masking it or making it.
Exactly. So it's
So
the book is everything like leading up to that moment and the 2 months that followed.
Okay. That's the timeline of the book.
Yeah.
Intense.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Curious. I know. I can't wait to read this book.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So,
Well, can I get a little more vulnerable? Just
Go
in,
for
like,
it. Yeah. Go for it.
Well, so just in leading up to that, those times where you maybe realize or maybe you always knew, that I'm gay and that, in those moments when it was like, I can't share this, or like, what told you I can't share this, and then that I need to hide this, that I,
I talk about this in the book too, but like a lot of, it's a big thing of those things, but it's also not like, it's just like little comments that somebody said one time when I was a kid that just stick with you.
So it's like, they're not safe.
Yeah.
In a way, or that's not okay.
Yeah, like that's not okay. This is not like, and when I was a kid, like I didn't, I was very much aware of authority figures, if an adult says something, like that must be true because, they're an adult.
right.
So I took that to heart and I didn't, I just suppressed it. I wasn't, every day I wasn't like, oh, I'm gay, I'm in the closet. I was just like, this is more so like, this is how I need to behave and this is how I need to dress and act and this is who I need to date.
So putting these rules.
Society is mostly the rules that society
bestowed
bestowed upon me. And also media representation. Like there's not, like the movies I was watching as a kid, the shows I was watching growing up, they weren't, you know, incredibly diverse in many ways. Yeah, and then as I got older, you know, it was just easier to drink about it and not deal with it until, you know, it became too much.
Well, and so then it was, when you came to that realization, it was like drinking, I can't do that anymore. Like,
yeah, I had a really bad night after like pretty much a bender, and I just like woke up and I was like, I can't do this anymore, and I just haven't since.
I'm learning just from talking to you today, it seems as if that you are someone who, when you do get your mind set on something, you are determined.
Yeah, you're not the first person who's told me that. Very much so, yes.
Has that ever gotten in the way?
What has gotten?
That focused mindset and determination.
Don't know if I understand your question.
Has it ever complicated things?
Oh yeah, sometimes I become like obsessive of certain things or not know when to take a break. So that's hindered me sometimes, or like I lose sight of other things because I'm so focused on like these things that I'm so passionate about. Yeah, I mean it can. It hasn't in a while, but
therapy and taking care of yourself is helping.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah. So, well, and another piece we like to talk about is glimmers. So those moments of just kind of joy, those moments you can just step back and really just feel, or a moment where you noticed growth that you were able to actually like, oh, I did that differently, or something. Are there anything that stands out somewhat recently?
I've been noticing like things that I've been manifesting for a long time. Finally arrived. And it's just cool to see that and how the timing has worked. Cause I always, had faith that these things would come to me and be a part of my life, but I didn't know like how or when. I mean, I have my idea of how or when, but those two aspects don't really, it's not up to me. I went and got, so I didn't have a car for the first year and a half I lived here. I was living with my parents. So I finally bought a car a couple years ago. That was a huge deal.
Yeah.
It just represented like so much from why I left Chicago. Like I just like felt like so independent with with having a car of my own again.
Yeah.
And I left Chicago because I broke up with my ex. I just left the city, not how I planned on leaving Chicago whatsoever. And that week that I was, moving back here, I was just like, there's a better story. There's a better love story for me. Don't know where it is. Didn't think it was here. Didn't think my fiance and I went to the same high school.
Oh my gosh. Oh, how funny.
Yes.
So St. Louis.
Yeah. And now we have a puppy, and I've always wanted a dog of my own, but I never had one in Chicago because I'm like, I just want a yard for the dog. Yeah. It's really important to me. So now I have a yard and a dog and a car, and life's pretty good.
So
and a fiance.
Yes.
Our story is incredible. Like we've been in each other's lives, like on and off since we were kids. So
yay.
Yeah, it's very sweet.
You guys had to do your own kind of figuring out who you were as individuals, and
we reconnected on a hike last April as part of this outdoor queer adventure group here in St. Louis. We started dating last June and got engaged in March of this year.
And here you are.
Here we are getting married in 50-something days.
Yes, the countdown. The countdown.
Yeah.
Oh, those are good glimmers.
That is good.
Yeah.
Well, I'll share a glimmer. Let's see. So I recently started going back to therapy. It's important for us therapists to sit on the couch instead of in the chair. And I was leaving therapy yesterday, and I just kind of walked out of the office with the smile on my face, feeling heard and understood. And it was just,
it's a good feeling to have.
It's a good feeling to have. So that is my glimmer.
Okay.
It is a good one. So thank you, therapists.
Yeah.
And writers.
So now it's my turn, and I'm feeling a little stuck of,
Yeah.
of one that's really standing out, but
You got a great manicure.
oh, thank you.
yes.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
yes, it's a whole
It's
thing.
a glittery.
It's
It is,
very
I love
glimmery.
It's serving another purpose as well, but yeah. I think I could do just something even this morning. I had a moment where, because a lot of times if I'm doing something, I also need something going on. Like I need to listen to something, or I need to have music, or and this morning I was making cinnamon muffins or something. Yeah, they're delicious. But I was sitting there and I noticed myself like looking for my phone, and then I was like, no, I kind of just want to do this in peacefulness today.
Yeah.
And so I took a moment of just like peaceful focus, and it felt really good.
Yeah.
And
So no background noise or anything.
Nothing.
Good for you.
I know, and I was just
That's
kind of
awesome.
by myself, and it felt really nice.
All
So,
right.
I love it.
Yeah.
Look at us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the last little
Yeah.
thing that we like to do is you get to pick a random
right.
question,
Yes. Let's
and
see
then
what
we all
got
answer
today.
it.
Let's see what we got.
And yeah, we have no idea what they
Okay,
are.
okay, there we go.
Yeah.
All right. Ooh, what's your most prized possession and why?
Do we already do this one? Did we do this with Bill? Because remember I
Oh.
said family, and you guys said that doesn't count.
Yes.
Okay.
Because he
I
said
can both
take
okay,
away.
do that one.
Do
I didn't want
over,
to answer that one anyway.
Yeah.
It was
Sorry.
hard.
I didn't want to answer it again.
I know.
Ooh, okay. I think about this almost every day.
Oh, we'll see.
Because I
Meant to
pass
be.
billboards
Oh.
on the
Yes.
highway.
Yes.
So, what would be the first thing you do if you won the lottery?
Oh.
You're gonna buy a billboard?
No, I just see the
Oh.
lottery. I see the lottery on the billboard. I know the number every day. I pass it on my way to
Oh,
and
yes.
from work.
The million.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. What would you?
I
What's the first thing you
would
would
pay
do?
off all of my loans and not worry about law school.
Right?
Right.
That was-
It'd be paid
yeah.
for. Okay. So that's the responsible. Give us a non-responsible answer.
Oh, I would probably take a long sabbatical from work and travel.
Mm. Yeah.
And make sure my dog comes too,
Yes.
for sure.
Yeah. That sounds wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would do those things too. Let me think.
First thing that came to my mind was I would call my sister, my other sister,
Oh.
and say, what do I do with all this
Right.
money?
She's a money manager person.
Yeah.
That's also the responsible thing. I would call
Right.
her, okay, what do I need to do with this? Because I want to spend it all. Because I would love to just go do stuff. But I would definitely travel. I would definitely take some breaks and just travel.
Yes, Catherine.
But also maybe travel comfortably.
Yeah,
Because
like
a lot
I'm
of-
not taking a large backpack with half
Yeah,
my stuff in it.
no.
Like,
I've done that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I stay in hotels or
hostels.
not
Or,
even-
is that what
yeah,
they're
I
called?
wouldn't stay.
Yeah.
Obviously, I wouldn't stay in hostels again. But yeah, so a different type of travel.
Yeah.
I still like to get in nitty gritty with the people,
Oh, absolutely.
but
yeah. Rub elbows with the locals.
Yeah. Yes, that is fun.
one time in a hostel, I was just real quick. I looked at my pillow and there was blood on my pillow. And luckily, I had probably been drinking, so I just didn't need the pillow. But it was a moment where it was like,
No, thank you.
yeah, this is not cool.
No,
So
that's not.
yeah. Anyway,
Well, I would do all those responsible things too. But maybe, you know what I would do? I would buy a house somewhere. And so it's kind of like the travel, but not.
Mhm.
But maybe in like Hawaii or maybe on Lake Michigan because we just went and it was wonderful.
I was there too. That's not.
Big, beautiful house.
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
makes so much sense for you because you're such a homebody.
I am a little bit of a
Like,
homebody.
you like
and I
me.
love decorating
Yeah.
and I would get to redo the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yes, let's all win the lottery,
Let's
shall we?
all win
Do
the
it.
lottery. Let's go.
We can travel together and we'll come stay at your house.
Yeah.
Love it. I don't
Yeah.
have a place to stay in Hawaii
That's
or
right.
Michigan.
Right.
Okay.
Maybe
both.
both.
Yeah, and you might as well. You're gonna want to
Yeah.
decorate both.
Yes, that's true. Two different energies.
types.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. What part of Michigan? Or did you go to?
We
Were you
went. It was called Stevensville, which isn't like the big happening place, but it's
Mhm.
close to St. Joseph. And
I asked, like, I know Michigan.
Okay.
I was just, my fiance's family has gone like every year for decades.
Oh.
So
where did
I
I
went
go?
with them this year out to Grand Haven.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's where it's
really
closer to.
very nice.
Yeah.
Just quiet and
Yeah, it's lovely.
yeah, it is lovely.
And the lake, it is like an ocean, the lake.
Yeah, it's just freezing.
It wasn't that bad.
No. I couldn't get it. I'm just like,
You're like,
mm-mm.
toes, and that's it. Oh, yeah. No, I went out there when it's a whole thing, but my son was out there and the waves were huge. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'll go out there and I won't be so nervous with him out there. Nope, I was getting pummeled. And I'm like, you all have to get back. But it was fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, so promote your book. Where can we find it?
Yes. I'm Gay and Drink Water, a memoir by me.
Yes.
It's on my website, www.allynikolaus.com.
Okay.
And it's on Amazon as well. And it'll be in person at the Tower Grove Pride Festival in September.
Yay!
And you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok. It's at Ally. It's at Ally XXNick. That's ALLYXXNIK.
Okay.
Very good.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
This
This
was
was
so
so
great.
nice. Lovely way to
Yeah.
spend the afternoon.
We're so glad you found us and reached out.
I
And
know.
now we know so much more, and we have a book to read.
And we have new people that we know.
Absolutely. I'm
I
excited.
love
I'm
this.
excited
Yes.
about all of it.
Yay.
Yeah. So thank
Great.
you.
All right. Good to see you.
Okay.
Bye.
All right. Say not
Nailed
so
it. 46
painful.
minutes.
Awesome.